Houseki no Kuni, or in English, Land of the Lustrous. I love this premise and this story so much. I am so totally jealous. I wish I had written it because it has so many things I love in stories. It has this weird, beautiful but lonely post-apocalyptic setting. It has these so human and charming and wonderful, but at the same time so inhuman and weird characters, and you see them slowly showing us how they become human through their experiences, and there's danger and there's friendship, and there's always this sense of existential crisis as these characters are asking, what is my purpose for existence, and what does it even mean to be human? And I just love those things in a story. So the basic plot, and these are things that become clear pretty early on in the show, is that after the extinction of what we now know as humans, 3 different races slowly developed, and one lives in the ocean, and one lives on the moon, and one lives on land. And these people are actually minerals. They're different gems that look like humans, and they have personalities and language and memory, and they've formed their own kind of post-human society. And I know that people are going to say, oh, like gem people, that's like Steven Universe. I've never actually seen Steven Universe, but I think aside from the whole gem people thing, they're actually pretty different. So if you're a fan of that show, maybe you'll like this because it does have action as well, and it is also very beautiful and colorful. But if you think it's going to be the same kind of thing, it's probably not. It has its own premise and its own tone and style and stuff like that. So our main character is this green gem called phosphophylito, or phos. I guess in English you don't say the O, so it's phosphophylite. Try not to pronounce names the way they do in the show. And some people would say she because the characters look feminine, but I don't think they actually do have genders. So Phos is kind of a screw up. They can't really do anything well. They want to be a fighter, but they shatter too easily, and they're also just kind of dopey and clumsy. And at the beginning of the show, they don't really know what they're good at or what they want to do or what they should be doing. But through the show and through the people that they meet, they find this purpose, and even though they're such a dope and so goofy a lot of the time, they also have this drive and this kind of sly cynicism to them that makes them very interesting to watch. And they do change a whole lot over the course of the show, even though it's only 12 episodes. And I think that's what makes the main character so engaging. And the side characters are also each very quirky in their own way. I especially like the character for Diamond because they're very soft and gentle, and they have their own sadness to them, like all the other characters. And I also like the character that's a gem based on Mercury, because they have this like poison stuff that's floating all around them, and it just looks so cool. And they're also very strong and weak at the same time, which makes them a really interesting character. Of course, one of the main cool things about the show is that it is mostly 3D animation, mostly computer graphics, like even the character work. And most animes will stay away from that because the character movements always look a little bit off. They always look a little robotic or doll-like or something weird. But I think that really fits in this show because the characters are not quite human. They are kind of doll-like or robot-like. And it makes sense that they wouldn't move in quite a human way. And of course, they do really showcase the 3D animation in the camera work and the fight scenes. They do things that you could only do with 3D, and that would be incredibly hard to do with 2D. So good on the show's creators for not only using this advanced technology well, but also working it into the story. I love the bright colors in this show, especially with the different hair colors of the gems and some of the atmospheric mood lighting. And I love the villains in this. The gems are fighting these people who come from the moon and are trying to apparently harvest them as jewelry, which is so messed up and so weird, although it may be more complicated than that based on some of the things that are hinted at in the show. And these people, like the way they look and the music that accompanies them is just so bright and pure and calming that the fact that they're trying to murder our main characters is so much more disturbing, because the way the villains look is so non-threatening. It's kind of like the weeping angels in Doctor Who, how they just look like these serene, stately beings, and they are kind of the Buddhist version of angels as well, which is an interesting connection. And yet they will completely destroy you in a second if you let your guard down, and that raises the tension so much. The story is based on a manga by Ichikawa Haruko, and the manga is ongoing, and there are still some volumes that need to be released in English, but the volumes available do go on with the story beyond what's in the show. I hope they do get a second season, and this is one of the shows where the ending felt very satisfying. It felt like it concluded an arc, and yet I really wanted to know more about the world and the characters and see what was going to happen next, because with this story, it's so unusual. It's really hard to predict what's going to happen next in the story, because the challenges the characters face are so beyond the normal human experience. And the manga itself does have a very distinct visual style. It's a lot more stark and a lot more bleak than the show, which is really bright and colorful, so I like enjoying both of those in a slightly different way. And I've actually picked up the manga and I'm reading to see what happens next, which is kind of unusual for me. I don't usually read the manga if I've already seen the anime. So, highly recommend this story. It is very weird and out there, but I personally love that kind of story. So, if you're not into fantasy at all, I'd say maybe it's not your thing. Maybe the weird doll-like characters will get on your nerves, but if you do like it, it is a great human story, and it's deep philosophically and also really fun to watch as an action series. So go check out Houseki no Kuni. So I decided to wear some sea green jewelry for this review in homage to the sea green color of the main character, but I just realized that this would probably be really offensive to any of the characters in the show, because it would be the same as me wearing, say, human teeth in my ears and around my neck, so maybe that wasn't the best call.